kali ini saya akan mempresentasikan atau sebenarnya sebagai pengantar saja karena nanti akan ada video ya. Jadi judulnya adalah memahami trauma dan pelecehan masa kecil. Jadi nanti dari videonya adalah salah satu sebenarnya motivator, tapi nanti kita akan lihat dan kita akan membahas dulu apa masalahnya atau latar belakangnya. Ya. Jadi pergumulannya adalah berkaitan dengan yang pertama Amat Agung. Jadi kalau kita lihat Amat Agung itu ada satu kata kunci, yaitu kata murid. Muridkanlah segala bangsa. Nah, kata murid itu kalau dilihat studi katanya itu sebenarnya sinonim dengan kata mengajar. Jadi kalau beberapa terjemahan ada beberapa versi. Satu versi menuliskan muridkanlah, versi yang lain menggunakan kata ajarlah. Ajarlah segala bangsa. Nah, ternyata secara praktikal, secara praktek ketika kita mengajar orang itu seringkali ada orang-orang yang sulit untuk diajar. Baik dari usia remaja, jadi kayak siswa-siswa di sekolah, SMP, SMA itu ada orang-orang yang sulit, bahkan sampai orang-orang tua. Jadi pelayanan kategorial itu seringkali menghadapi orang-orang yang sulit secara watak. Jadi secara pengetahuan Alkitab mungkin dalam, paham beragam ayat, beragam cara metode PA dan sebagainya, tetapi secara watak itu sulit. Jadi sulit dihadapi atau sulit berubah. Nah, ternyata secara kalau ini pakai ilmu psikologi itu juga sangat sering diseminarkan juga bahwa orang dibentuk oleh masa lalunya begitu. Jadi kita saat ini punya bentukan dari masa lalu, dari keluarga, dari cara kita dididik, cara kita diperlakukan, itu sangat mempengaruhi respon kita ketika saat ini, ketika dewasa gitu. Dan juga semacam kayak ada belenggu yang perlu dilepaskan gitu. Jadi kalau misalnya di masa lalu kita tidak erat dengan orang tua, sulit cerita atau orang tua tidak hangat, maka ketika dewasa pun kita akan bersikap ya seperti itu. Nah, salah satunya adalah salah satu contoh yang saya hadapi itu pernah waktu pelayanan di Jogja. Jadi ada salah satu ibu usianya sudah 75 tahun. Ini kami ketemu bareng seluruh keluarga, ada anak cucunya. Nah, kemudian dia cerita tentang salah satu trauma masa kecilnya. Jadi usianya 75, dia sampai usia segitu mengingat salah satu dosa masa kecilnya, yaitu dia pernah mencuri yang namanya gayung, jadi gayung air untuk mandi. Kemudian dipakai untuk mainan lah. Nah, ketika sampai tua ternyata dia itu masih merasa bersalah atas perilakunya itu, sehingga ketika tua itu dia tuh mencari anak cucunya dari orang yang dia curi zaman kecil itu untuk minta maaf. Nah, hal seperti itu yang ternyata, jadi kalau orang-orang punya seperti itu, punya beban masa lalu yang belum selesai, itu bisa mengganggu proses kita mengajar Alkitab. Jadi makanya saya memilih topik ini. Nah, kita akan menuju ke videonya, tapi saya akan memberikan dulu satu pengantar untuk pembicaranya. Saya akan share ini ya. Ya, jadi ini dari TED. Nah, nama pembicaranya adalah Tanya Weimeyer. Kemudian saya coba menelusuri situsnya. Ini situsnya seperti ini. Jadi dia public speaker atau katakanlah motivator gitu. Jadi kalau dia cukup ini ya, cukup besar kayaknya ya dari beberapa karirnya sebagai motivator. Cuman saya menanggapi latar belakang dia gitu sedikit sih. Ya, nah ini saya terpicu oleh kata-kata ini. Jadi salah satu moto di situsnya adalah I did because I can. Jadi nanti karena ini pembicara dari Amerika kan kadang memang nggak terlalu Kristen gitu loh sekarang ya. Jadi kalau dulu saya ingat salah satunya adalah Oprah Winfrey. Jadi Oprah itu kan dulu kayaknya kalau punya acara itu kayaknya sering membawa kekristenan gitu. Tapi lama-lama dia kayak membawa ajaran lain gitu. Dan yang orang-orang yang diundang kayak orang-orang yang mengajarkan New Age atau gerakan zaman baru. Nah, gerakan ini punya, kalau setahu saya itu agak-agak kayak orang muda gitu. Jadi dia kayak self-center, berfokus kepada kekuatan diri. Makanya salah satunya dia motonya di sini adalah I did because I can. Nah, nanti di videonya nanti silahkan ditelusuri atau secara kritis lah Bapak Ibu Saudara sekalian, nanti bisa lihat bagian mana yang agak sekuler atau katakanlah Buddhis ini, tapi juga ada bagian yang bisa kita ambil gitu. Jadi nanti akan cerita hidupnya. Nah, untuk clue selanjutnya adalah nanti bagaimana dari cerita pembicara ini kita bisa melihat apa yang saya pelajari, kemudian bagaimana kira-kira untuk menyelesaikan beberapa masalah tentang trauma masa lalu. Saya rasa demikian, Mas Odi, silahkan dilanjutkan.
Ya, terima kasih Mas Denang sudah menyampaikan pengantarnya. Nah, setelah ini kita akan nonton videonya ya Mas ya. Setelah itu nanti mungkin setelah nonton video, nanti Mas Denang juga akan kasih beberapa tanggapan dulu terkait videonya, lalu setelah itu kita akan masuk diskusi seperti itu. Ya, silahkan di-share dari admin ya, atau dari Mas Denang?
Dari admin.
As children, we were always told, do not talk to strangers. Stranger danger, that's the phrase. We were taught that to make sure we didn't talk to anybody we didn't know. Family. Family, on the other hand, is all that is right and good in the world. Family is love. But what about when it isn't? As children, my brothers and I spent the summers with family while our parents worked. I was the youngest, and as such, I slept in our grandparents' room. Once everyone was asleep, our grandfather would wake me up, and he would touch me. I didn't know it wasn't right. I was 3 years old, and touch was supposed to be love. Well, every summer we would go back, and what he did the year before, he did again. As I got older, I realized what he was doing was wrong. It was abuse. But I didn't know how to stop it. It would go on until finally at 9 years old, I found the courage to speak up. Now, speaking up ended the abuse, but that didn't make me whole again. I was broken. I was damaged. I felt unworthy. After speaking with the parent that I did, them acknowledging that it happened and it would stop, there wasn't another conversation on how to be okay, how for me to heal. It became that dark family secret that I was left on my own to figure out. How do you do that at 9 years old? I had no idea, so I gave it to God. What happened through that process is that I developed critical beliefs, beliefs that without the professional help I truly needed, or an understanding of what it looked like, helped me find healing. My hope is that by sharing some of those with you today, I can help another one along the way. You are not responsible for what happened. Your mind is an incredible thing. It's designed to protect you. If you put your hand on a hot stove, you quickly pull it away. It's how you are wired. When you were sexually abused or molested, your mind tried to find a way to stop it. It tried to find a way around it, and it couldn't. That inability to protect you triggered a failure. With that failure, your mind took on a sort of unconscious responsibility to what happened. You carry it with you. You, in essence, became responsible for something you had absolutely no choice in. Allow yourself to acknowledge what happened, why your mind took on a sort of unconscious responsibility, and release yourself from the burden of it. Secondly, you were victimized, and you survived. Even when you think about the words victim and survivor, they have such different meaning and feelings. When I think victim, I think hurt and sad. When I think survivor, I think victorious and warrior. When you were sexually abused or molested, your abuser not only violated you physically, they raped you of your inner peace and power. You began to ask yourself, why me? Why did this happen to me? Wanting to know why is normal, but why is not going to bring you the peace and healing that you need. It's when you decide to take your power back. Make the decision. I was victimized, but I refuse to remain a victim to what they did. I survived. And as a survivor, every minute of time I spend in shame or pain is another minute they have power over me. No more. When you decide to shift to survivor, that is when healing begins. That is when peace starts to come back. You may never, ever find out why it was you. And that is not what's relevant. What's relevant is that you were designed with great purpose. And you need to get back on the path to what that purpose is. Lastly, if it hadn't happened, if you hadn't been abused, how would your life be different? Who would you be today? These are questions you ask yourself, you look back on, and you think, oh, I wish I could have. Maybe, if. You can't change what happened to you as a child. If you stand today a survivor of abuse or molestation, you do control what you do as an adult. You have that ability. You decide now what your life is going to be. Now, I'm not saying that by becoming whole again, you're going to forget about what happened. Even last night as I slept at the hotel, I dreamt of being in this hotel. There were all these massive natural disasters happening around us, and we couldn't stop them. What I found was that I was going to find a way around them. I was looking for those that couldn't protect themselves, and I was taking them with me. I found one, and I put them in the car, and we drove this way. There was another trapped, so I hid down in the locker with them to protect them. The reality of that crazy dream was that as an adult, helping those less able or too scared to help themselves is a part of my purpose. What's your purpose? You are only given one life to live. Do not let the dark choices of another person define that for you. Bring light to your great purpose. And one day, when you look back on the life you lived, may you've accomplished all that God intended for you. God bless.
Ya, dari video ini kita akan berdiskusi. Saya akan menyampaikan pertanyaan diskusinya. Ya, ini. Jadi dari video tadi silakan Bapak Ibu merenungkan, ada 2 pertanyaan. Bagaimana mengenali jika seseorang memiliki trauma pada masa kecilnya? Karena faktanya itu sulit, kadang orang menutupi diri. Terus yang kedua, apa yang akan Yesus lakukan atau Yesus katakan bagi orang-orang yang mengalami trauma-trauma masa kecil? Demikian pertanyaan diskusinya, semoga bisa membantu. Silakan Mas Odi.